Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Market Insights with Linux, and welcome to this new video right here on Circle. I wanted to do an update on Circle. I covered this last week Thursday. Now I deleted my my analysis from the chart, which is a bit of a shame, but it's not the end of the world because I still do know what I said in that video. So I just wanted to do a brief update on what I said and what has been going on so far. I mean, if you watch that video, then you know that that the analysis was correct, and what I said back then is still going on right now. So I wanted to briefly reflect upon that, and then I wanted to speak upon, do I still expect that? Do I think we're going to drop down lower? Because that is something I did say as a possibility in that video. And then I also wanted to specifically talk about certain areas where I think scaling into Circle and potentially building up a Circle stock position is a good idea again. So that's what we'll do now. The general stock markets today are fairly decent. The S&P 500 opened higher after some de-escalation between Canada and the United States. Now I saw some further escalation though. I think just a minute ago from Canada's side in terms of tariffs on steel. So that's not great, and fundamentals like that obviously do still affect prices. For Circle a little bit less so. Circle is relatively uncorrelated from the S&P 500 and general US equities, but overall that does mean something. Now, even though there's obviously short term, there's all sorts of fundamentals and news playing into the general stock markets and into what we can expect from that. At this point of time, the general conclusion should still be that equity markets and stock markets and share markets, or whatever you want to call them, are still very strong. They've made new all-time highs, and at this point of time, there's no sign of a massive breakdown yet, even with the news. So those are my thoughts on the general share markets. Now, if we take a look at Circle, and I've looked up my previous video, you can see that right here. If you take a look at the thumbnail, what I said and what had just happened is that Circle had just broken down below this level right here at $230. And what I said is that I think it's most likely that we are going to be dropping down lower. First of all, I think Circle has lost some of that initial IPO hype, which obviously it was one of the most hyped IPO stocks that has launched in a very, very long time. And that's, by the way, that's also reflected in the volume, which I already said back then. It's not only that technically we have lost an important support level, which $230 was. No, we're also just losing volume, we're losing momentum, and that has continued. We gained some more momentum on Thursday, so that's when I made the video. I think with the price action of before that. But we gained some nice volume, but you can see that we rejected from the previous, I wouldn't call it a range low, but the previous support level we had at 230 and 225. High volume rejection, so we weren't able to break through that. And you can also see that, on the 1 hour time frame, we still had a bit of a chance to hold the trend here. But we never got that momentum from there. We never got a bullish breakout. We never got a bullish reclaim. So the 1 hour trend wasn't enough. You can also see on the 30-minute time frame trend, we have already started to respect the downtrend, and that's also what I think is most likely right now. Short term, I'm actually relatively bearish on Circle. Now, I think the Circle stock I'm bearish on. Circle as a company, I'm still very, very excited about. But I just think that the valuation was a little bit too good to be true, and I think there was a little bit too much hype in the price. And right now we're trying to find somewhat more of fair value. One of the support levels I spoke about in that video, you can also see that that's where the arrow pointed, was right here around $180, where we have the 0.618 FIB and a naked point of control. But usually what you want to see, if that level was going to be the main support level, is that we got a lot of strength from there. And at this point of time, that's also not true. We got a very weak reaction. We left some imbalances here to the upside, so that functions as a good magnet for prices to fill. But I don't see us breaking above that. I think it's more likely that we will auction lower still, and then the main support level I'm looking at right now is $150. Now, would I buy at $150? No, I want to see a strong reaction at that support first. Then I think we're going to accumulate, we're going to range on top of that level. And then it's most likely that, if we get a strong reaction, then I am going to set limits at 150. Because then it's quite likely that is going to hold as a range low, and that we can stay in some sort of a consolidation like this, where 150 is a decent area. But if we get a weak reaction at 150, which is a possibility as well, then I'm aiming for an entire fill of the entire move we had since Friday the 13th, by filling the imbalances all the way at 120 and 110. So that is how far I think we can drop down, and that's the only area where I would be comfortable setting limits without actually waiting for the initial reaction. So those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know, first of all, about Circle right now, but also regarding buy areas. If you're interested in more updates on Circle, first of all, let me know down in the comments. Leave a like, consider subscribing. And we also have a free Telegram channel in which I do daily updates on stock markets and news, etc. So consider joining that. Links to that will be down in the description. For now, thank you for watching. Have a great day, have a great week, and bye.